Hello and happy Monday. Welcome to Coffee with Kim. I am Kim Bassett, your host, and today is an amazing day. You know, we in the news and coming up in the end of the year and the beginning of the year, we talk about our physical health, right? How do we get healthier? How do we feel better in our bodies? But today's guest is going to take a whole nother approach in the financial health of your life.
Today on Coffee with Kim, coming from Georgia, is Dr. Wendy Labot. Dr. Wendy is a wife of over 30 years with 3 grown children and 2 grandchildren and 1 fur baby. She is the producer of the global streaming production Financial Cures with Dr. Wendy, as well as an award-winning author, entrepreneur, business strategist, and international speaker. With her doctorate in business administration and entrepreneurship and over 40 years experience as an entrepreneur, she is known as a financial healer. With her Financial Cures system, a results-based program for financial mastery. When Dr. Wendy isn't working with her board she sits on or her 501(c) Ascend Foundation that empowers disadvantaged women to realize their dreams of entrepreneurship, Dr. Wendy enjoys travel, shopping, and decorating. One of her personal quotes she believes in, when you think right, speak right, and do right, your money will flow right to optimize your financial health. Dr. Wendy, welcome to Coffee with Kim.
Hi, I love that. I need a copy of that. It's very good. I love that.
Well, thank you. I really, one of the things I really want you to feel today is it's such an honor for me to have you here. I want you to be celebrated. And that's what we do here on Coffee with Kim.
I
So.
feel celebrated. So, Jack, you've done that very well.
Well, good. So, everyone, this is Dr. Wendy Labot, and I have been watching her for a few years now. And so she agreed to come on, and I am just beyond thrilled. So, I want you to hear from her, like we always do here on Coffee with Kim, a little bit of her story, and then we'll go into an amazing conversation.
Okay, well, I start and thank you first for having me on. I'm so excited about being here. And I started my entrepreneurial journey almost 4 decades ago. I can't believe it. I was only about 2 years old. Um, but I started an office equipment company. I had no business experience and very limited financial resources. And there was a time when there was no internet or social media, and the only thing you can do with a cell phone was make an expensive phone call. But my clients were corporations and government agencies. And back then, in order to be considered for, the big contracts or consistent business, you had to project a certain image. And that image included, a brick and mortar office, employees carrying inventory, and all the overhead that goes with it. And I did all that, and I did get the consistent business, the bigger contracts. But the problem was those contracts, were on paper, and that business was on paper, but the money wasn't in my bank account. And, my cash flow, what I had anorexic cash flow because, the numbers were there with the business, the orders I delivered, but the clients weren't paying me according to the contract. So, they wanted to pay, government agencies, especially, and corporations, they do their own thing. So they were paying me in 60, 30, 60, sometimes 90 days. And my terms with them was net 10. And, I was like, a rookie business person. I didn't know, what to do. I was afraid to say something because, I'm getting this business. I think if I say something, then they may snatch it away. But I
Right?
talked to my mentor, and he said, look, what are the terms of the contract that they agreed to? What does the contract say? I said, well, they're supposed to pay me net 10. He said, well, then you need to meet with them and talk to them about it, So I did. And I was surprised because they weren't even really aware that they weren't paying according to the contract. I said, look, I'm a small business. I need to get paid. on time, because my
Right.
vendors, expect me to pay them on time, and I can't afford to finance your business. I appreciate it, but I can't afford to finance it. So
Yeah.
they agreed. And not only did they agree to pay on time, sometimes they would pay prior to the deadline. Some of them, if they sent in an order, they would, send in a check with the order. So it was really a good thing. And I ended up, like I said, becoming kind of a master negotiator. I said, well, okay, if it's working with these corporations and government agencies, let me go to my vendors and tell them I need to get better terms with them, better pricing and better payment terms. So I did that because back then, being a minority and a female owned business, that was an incentive for companies because they were getting government contracts and things based on their participation with minority businesses. So I did that because these vendors, they weren't minority or female owned, and they were getting business through me that they normally wouldn't have gotten. So, they ended up working with me. I got better pricing and, like I said, better payment terms where I could carry an invoice with them, 30,
Hmm.
sometimes 60 days, because the volume was there. So that worked out. And I'm like, okay. But after a while, after about 15 years, I got out of the office equipment company because I ended up, getting married again and wanting to have more children. And that was just a little too confining and stressful. So I got into the tax preparation business, which was very lucrative, and it was a consumer based business. And, I
Right.
did some small business tax returns and things. But in 2014, the Affordable Care Act mandated that everybody have health insurance, and that was all reconciled with your tax return. So I expanded my business to include insurance and financial services. So I didn't want to be a hypocrite. So I was buying all the products and services that I was selling to my clients because, for one, I figure if I'm going to
Yeah.
sell it to them, I need to have it. And then for two, a lot of my clients were saying, well, what do you have? Where's your money? And I can honestly say what I had and where my money was. And in
Wow.
about 2015, I was talking to a colleague, and he was telling me, he said, Wendy, I went for my physical and I was diagnosed with kidney cancer. I'm like, kidney cancer?
Wow.
I never really heard of anybody with kidney cancer, but
Me either.
I felt bad for him. And I said, wow, I'm going to keep you in prayer. But then I kind of jokingly said, well, I know you're going to clock some dollars because I know the products we were selling, a diagnosis like that could have brought him a lot of money. And
Hmm.
he said, Wendy, I don't have any of that stuff. I barely got the minimum health insurance coverage to meet the mandate. He didn't have any of the other supplemental products. And I'm like, how
Oh,
are you going
wow.
to be in this business and not have what you're selling? So,
Yeah.
like I said, I still keep him in prayer. But in 2017, I was diagnosed with an aggressive form of breast cancer. And I chose an aggressive form of treatment because I didn't want to, I'm nipping this in the bud.
Yeah.
And that aggressive form of treatment meant chemotherapy every 3 weeks for a year at a price tag of $67,000 and,
Oh,
per
wow.
infusion. And I had 5 surgeries and all the CAT scans, PET scans, MRIs, medication, all the
Hmm.
labs, everything that it took to, aggressively fight the disease. And my
Yeah.
medical bills, totaled to almost $1.5 million. And because I practiced what I preached,
Hmm.
all those medical bills were paid. And not just that,
Wow.
I ended up getting, because I also had all this supplemental coverage, like I said, that I bought because I was selling them to my clients. And it brought me multiple 6-figure financial shots in the arm that were tax free. And it allowed me to focus on my recovery and not worry about, money. So
Oh,
after
my
I became,
goodness.
cancer free, I said, okay, Lord, I am happy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm in my comfort zone, I'm good. And he's like, no, I brought you out of this better than you went in. So you're going to go on a crusade and empower other people to not let an illness or injury, ruin them financially. You're going to help them get their money together and, get their financial health in order. So that's how the financial cures came into play.
Oh,
And
my
then,
goodness. It's so, your story, when I heard your story, I
mhm.
literally started to bawl. My childhood girlfriend passed away from aggressive form. She
Uh,
a couple years ago,
mhm,
and I when I was watching, your trailer. I was just like, oh my gosh, it just hit me so hard. And it made me think, you and I are going to be having a talk. Bec-
Yeah,
yeah,
because people, they insure, their house, their car, their cell phones, and they don't put their health in order. And your physical health affects your mental health and your financial health, I'm sorry, affects your
yeah,
mental health and your physical health. And, people aren't talking about that. They're talking
nope,
about financial health. They're talking about, I mean, mental health. They're talking about physical
mental
health.
health.
They're talking about financial literacy, but nobody's talking about financial health. And then they
Yeah,
conflate and confuse financial literacy with financial health. But the problem with that is you can be financially literate and have poor and sometimes fatal financial health. So I'm out here to just help people distinguish the difference and do what it takes to get their finances in order.
yeah. No, I am so, so grateful that you're on here. You did mention something that kind of sparked something. I just want to do a minor shift really quick. You
Okay.
talked about women-owned business. So I have a business that's women-owned
Hmm.
and the advantages that come with that. And when I go to networking events and I'm talking to, other women organizations, they do not know about it.
Hmm.
And I loved how you brought that up and brought that also to the forefront, as well, because there is a lot of money. There's business you can get that nobody else can get,
Hmm.
um, as a result of that, correct?
That's correct. But it does require certification, a
It
certification
does.
process. But it's worth it, especially if you're going after corporate dollars or government dollars. Get that certification because it opens up a whole lot of doors. And once you get one, the others kind of fall into place. So yeah,
They
that's
do.
it's a good thing. They
Yeah.
don't talk about it as much now as they did back in the 80s and in the early 90s, but it's money out there, and I
Yeah,
think
there's money
people
out there
need
to have.
it.
And so I just wanted to shine a little bit brighter light on that since you did bring it up,
Mhm.
because I'm seeing that there's not a lot out there that know about it. So I just wanted to make sure that we kind of, brought that to attention.
Yeah, well, that's a good
But
point because like I said, they don't talk about it. Not
mm-mm,
like they used to.
I know. And it's like almost to find the extra money, the extra dollars, the grants, the different things that businesses, right, and women owned and minority owned businesses have access to. When I got into it, it is so vast and large,
Mhm.
and you have to work for it. You have to get the certification, like you said. You have to fill out paperwork and do those things. But boy, does it, you know,
It's worth
have
it.
it
Mhm.
is, it is. So, and that helps. That sometimes, when during the 2020, it helped keep our business alive.
Mhm. And see, a lot of people think that because they're minority or female owned, that the money's just going to fall in their lap, but you still have to be about business, and
Yep.
eventually, I got some of that money, that piece of the pie, but eventually I grew out of it and I just wanted business. I didn't have to get that piece of pie. I just wanted the part of the big piece, big pie. So
Yeah.
it's a good way, especially to help you grow and develop your company. And then as you grow, you kind of grow out of it because you want to give other people a chance because it is sometimes a slice of the pie, and you don't want to keep nibbling at it when other people can nibble and you go for the nibble at the big piece, big pie.
Yeah, exactly. And I
Yeah.
want to make, because there's so much fast. That's why I want really people at the end when we talk about people reaching out to you, why I feel it is so critical. Um, I want to touch on all the little pieces that I've learned in my research and study of you.
Mhm.
Um, you talked about the Ascend, which I love your logo because I'm all about my little flying dancers. Um, and it's the Ascend. So it's a
501c3. Yeah.
501c3. I always get those. I always,
Me too. I did too for a long time. I just remember the alphabet comes before the last number. So just keep
okay.
that in mind because I used to say 5013C, but
That's what I
the
usually
C
do
is in the
too.
middle. Yeah, the C is in the middle. So just remember that.
Yeah. So tell me, what was the decision and purpose behind that, and what was that process? If we can kind of shift and go into that for a little bit, and then we'll probably shift some more again.
Okay, well, that's good you asked. I do have a segment of one of the episodes on my show talks specifically about the 501c3, and the lady that
Good.
did the interview with me, she's the one that set mine up. And it could be a complicated thing. A lot of people want to do it themselves. And at first I said, oh, I'm going to do it yourself for it as well. But when I saw that, it's like, nah, I'm going to pay somebody to do that because you can do it the short way or the long way. And if you do it the short way, then you're limited to how much income you can get, from a donation or something. But
Hmm.
if you do it the long way, the sky's kind of the limit. But the
Okay.
501c3 is basically a tax code that gives you tax exempt status, but and nonprofit tax exempt status, I should say. But just because you're classified as a nonprofit, doesn't mean you don't want to make money. You do have to, have
Yes.
revenue to operate,
Right.
but there are guidelines in certain, ways. You can't sit on a pile of money, but they do allow you to have reserves. So, and
Okay.
then you basically are tax exempt. You can apply for, grants, and then people can make contributions to your organization, and they can get tax write-offs because they're contributing to a 501c3. But
Okay.
it's a way to go, and a lot of people have nonprofits. And the way I got into that is, in the tax business, um, so many people are saying, "Well, Wendy," because I also did and still do business development,
Hmm.
and they were saying, especially some of the younger, and I shouldn't say young, but some of the women, single mothers, they
Hmm.
had side hustles that they needed to make it an official business entity. Even though they were
Right.
reporting the income on their tax return, they weren't structured properly. So,
Yeah.
I kind of started guiding them in how to, pick the name, reserve the name, build the business from the ground up. And then I was like, okay, I need to do this for these ladies. They didn't have a lot of money, but they were maintaining with the kids and all that by themselves. So that's how a sin came into fruition, because it was about helping disadvantaged women to realize their dreams of entrepreneurship.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so amazing. Isn't it amazing how we take our own life experience and then we,
And
get to
share
share
it.
that. It's
Yeah.
such a beautiful thing. So let's talk about, because you already started touching on one of the my things I wanted to touch on too. So shift is your show, right? Now,
Yeah.
how long have you had it? Because I got to go in there and start watching some of that as well.
Well, we just revealed it October 21st. That's when the first episodes went live, and it's season number 1. I have 6 episodes. We talk about basically tithing, or faith focus and financial health. That's the first episode, because
Yes.
it's all about, when you give, you're planting seeds, not for yourself, but you're planting seeds to get a harvest so that you can plant more seeds, to other
Yes.
people. So it really, and I live by that. I tithe. I'm a firm tither. I'm a firm believer in giving. And, as long as the spirit's saying, do, give to this person, give to that person, I'm going to do it. And when you're
Yeah.
obedient in that sense, you don't have to have the money to do everything. If you have the vision that God has given you, then the provision comes. So that was the first episode. The second episode was proper protection to prevent financial ruin. Like I said, there's so many people that, think that, the 401k and IRAs are, the way they're supposed to retire, but that's, people that plan on living off of that in retirement, they run out of money in about 13 years. So
Yeah.
we talk about the different vehicles to not only properly protect your health, your life, and your financial future, but how to maximize that and reduce the risk, market losses and those kind of things. So that was really I do that as well. And then the
Wow.
next one we were talking about, what's your credit score? We got one of my colleagues, is an expert. I don't think he's ever had bad credit. He's got like 850 credit score, but he's a retired executive from Experience. And he talks about, critic talks about the history of it, what it's all about, how it works, give you
Wow.
tips on how to improve your credit score. And I mean, just a wealth of information.
I
And
hadn't got to that one.
you haven't got to that one yet?
No.
But yeah, get that one. You'll enjoy that. And matter of fact, we were talking so much before filming that the crew said, "Come on, let's get on camera. Let's start filming it," because they were taking notes. They said, "We got to put this. This is the episode. Come on, let's start. Roll the cameras."
Yeah.
So that worked out really well. And then the other one was, do you need occupational therapy? And it was a gentleman that is the VP of a temporary employment agency, or a staffing agency, I should say, because they don't call them temporary employment no more.
Yeah.
But he talks about how they're preparing people, training people for these new, jobs that are going to come up with the clean, energy and infrastructure jobs and those kind of things to keep people employed at a level that where
Wow.
they're making a good living, not just, barely making it, so
Right.
that was a good one. And then we had the one, I think we wrapped up with the executive director of a board that I sit on, that provides housing and all kind of assistance to people that are, struggling and, are homeless, women and young adults, so we get them, apartments, and then try to position them to buy their own home. And then, to
Wow.
get, especially during the pandemic, giving them gift cards and, help paying utilities. And it was a good show, a good season. So I'm
Oh,
excited about
that
that.
sounds like chock full of really amazing information. So I would definitely encourage everybody to go check out her
Financial
show on.
Cures with Dr. Wendy. Yes.
Yep. Um, can they? I know it's on Zondra TV.
Hmm.
Is it also on YouTube as well?
I think it's on YouTube because it's on YouTube, but the best way to look at, like, if you want to binge watch it or look at, pick what episode you want to watch, you can go to zondratv.com, and it's on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, but it's all on the Zondra TV network. So
Yeah.
zondratv.com, and then look for Financial Cures with Dr. Wendy, or I don't know,
And I'll make sure I'll put it down in the comments
okay.
afterwards. I'll make sure we do that as well. Tell me about some of the like success stories, whether it's a send, whether it's just some of your clients. What are somebody that was just like you just didn't see any way out, and then this person's just what are some of your success stories?
Okay, well, I always see a way out, because there's always a way out.
I agree too, but sometimes
Yeah.
they don't feel like it
They may
is.
not see a way out, but I got a few. Mine, I guess, is probably the one that I, endear the most, because I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm here to tell people. But like I said, I had a young lady that was struggling financially, and she had kids, and she worked, and she had her little side hustle. But she said, "Well, Wendy, I need to, I'm struggling." So I said, "Well, let's look at, I did her taxes, so I knew what her income was." And I said,
Right.
"Girl, you got money. You just got to learn how to manage it. You need to, learn how to make your money work for you." So the first thing we did was made sure that she did the spending challenge. And I give all my clients the spending challenge, because that way you track your spending on a daily basis. No matter what you buy, it's not really paying necessarily your expenses, but you're spending, like buying coffee every day, or Starbucks, or eating lunch, or
Mhm.
buying, getting your hair done, nails done. And I'm an advocate for that, but only when you have your money right.
Yeah.
So after she did the spending challenge, the first week, she said, "Well, Wendy, dag, I spent, $40, drinking Starbucks." I said, "Yeah, well, that $40 could have gone somewhere else." Then she said, "Dad, I took my kids to McDonald's, and we spent, like, another 45 just for a couple days. This wasn't every day."
Wow.
And then, I think by the end of the month, she said, "Wendy, I see about $450 that I just blew, on stuff, So I said, "That's my point.
Wow.
Now you see, you want to plan where your money goes instead of wondering where it went." So I'm just proud to say that she's got, not only her health insurance, she's got the life insurance for herself and the kids. She's got, she does do the 401k, and match with the employer, but she also has her index universal life, which allows her to build, cash and have the death benefits, the living benefits for her and her kids, so that they'll have a financial future. And she ended up paying off a lot of debt that she had with credit cards. She paid off her car, and after a couple years she was really in good shape, and her business is structured where she was able to quit her job, and now she's living as an entrepreneur. So I'm really proud of her,
Wow.
because it's like you don't have to. I'm not a proponent. I'm not a job person. I've been in, like I said, an entrepreneur almost 40 years. And,
Yeah.
I'm not saying don't work, because some people aren't entrepreneurial. They have to be punching the time clock. But with her,
Yes.
she started out punching the time clock, but she had the desire and the, you know, wherewithal to become a full-time entrepreneur. So, and then her kids, they're growing up, and they're, in high school, and they're doing well. And I'm just proud. You like to see people, just climb up,
Yeah.
so I was
Yeah.
really excited about that.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Definitely having a mentor or a coach or, you know, can make or break, I think,
Yeah.
any situation.
I agree. Because,
And
sometimes people just don't know. And if you don't know, that's a different story than knowing and not doing. If you don't know and don't do, but that's one thing. But if you know and don't do, that's a whole different thing.
yeah, I love that. And I mean, I don't want me to put you on the spot, but I want to kind of wrap this around to the other side. And was going to write it down, and we had a few little technical glitches before we came on, so I didn't get to it. But I love there was a saying that you said about, and you started talking about it, like anorexia here and
Oh,
obese debt.
yeah. Anorexic income, obese debt, spending addiction, and other financial ills. Because people are suffering from some form of a financial ill. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're struggling financially. It just means that they have an area in their finances that they could do better. And and then
Yeah.
people can relate. When you say anorexic income, it's like, yeah, they know anorexia means it's lit, you're skinny or it's thin, so it's like I can
Yeah.
relate to that. Obese, they know what that means. And debt, a lot of people got that obese debt.
Yes.
So and then it's all about the medical, because the financial healing for me and the financial cure for me when I had the cancer. So spirit led me to that analogy of.
Yeah. I just talked to a friend today, that had something that happened to her physically, and it just, and then knowing your story and researching your story, which is, I think, is so beautiful, right, where you could focus on you. And we don't plan for that, right? We think, oh, it's not going to happen to us. But I have so many people around me in my life that it has happened to. And so this and your story has touched me so much, um,
Thank you. But I tell
and
people I
grateful.
didn't really plan for it from a personal financial planning perspective. It was a business and marketing strategy. Had I not been in the business, I may not have had all the protection I had. But the fact that I was in the business, like I said, I didn't want to be a
But
hypocrite.
but it's a philosophy, because I have the same philosophy of being a hypocrite. With me, what you see is what you get.
Hmm.
And I don't want to do something that I'm not doing myself. But like your friend, he was selling it and doing it, but didn't have it.
Have it.
So I also wanted to come full circle and say it's also a mind shift,
Yes.
where you have to, or a philosophy, a belief of what you believe.
Hmm.
And those can change. Yes, we have stuff that is brought up with us, but we also have to have the mindset or the mind shift to change that,
Hmm.
right? Because there's that unworthiness, there's the ignorance, like you said. you know Someone can either do it because they don't know any different, but sometimes people do know different and don't do it to skim by.
Yes, that's for sure. And you have to do the right thing, and you have to be obedient to the spirit. And that's what I tell people, that gut feeling, whether you call it, intuition or spirit or whatever you call it, or that.
Hmm.
And I tell people, just remember that all the times you said something told me to do that. That's what you listen to. That's that spirit telling you to do whatever it is it's telling you to do, and you need to do it and do it right away. Be obedient to it, because if like I said, delayed obedience is disobedience, and you end up with the
Yes.
same result as if you didn't do what you're supposed to do. So you have to pay attention to those things. And I found that I'm about to turn 65 in July, and I can't believe it. I'm like, but I'm okay
No.
with that. I'm okay with it. But it just years of, experience. And like I tell people, I know what I'm talking about, not because I have a doctorate degree or because I've been in business 40 years. It's because I learned the hard way. There's some of these courses that God has sent me through that I had to take over and over again, like patience. I had to learn that
Yes.
patience thing, I take that course a few times, but
Yeah.
you just have to, the sooner you learn the lesson, the sooner you move to a better place, a better situation.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Everything you are saying is, I know, is speaking to my heart. So
Mhm.
it's going to be speaking to other people's heart that's hearing this today. So thank you so much. So how do we get a hold of you?
Okay, well, you can go to the financial cures with an S.com. That's my website. Or if you want to email me, go to info@thefinancialcures.com.
Oh, I didn't put that one down.
Yeah,
So let's
sorry, I
do
forgot to tell that one. Yeah.
it.
Info at thefinancialcures.com. And I have a gift for all your viewers. If they
Thank
want to get my
you.
guide, I think that right now it's still saying how to win the 6 obstacles to winning the money game, how to overcome 6 obstacles to win the money game. But the new version is 6 ways to stop hemorrhaging money. And if you text the word
Uh-oh.
guide, GUIDE, to 770-796-4944, you can download that.
Awesome. Oh, thank you so, so much. Was there anything else that we could have possibly talked about as we wrap this up today?
Well, I just like to leave your viewers with my quote that I've coined. When you think right, speak right, and do right, your money will flow right to optimize your financial health.
Yeah, and I put that in the promo reel. I put that on a little thing. So we'll post that today as well.
Okay. Yeah, I saw that and I like that. I like that graphic.
Good. Well, you and I both love graphics, and I do want to say thank you. Wendy is definitely in our Coffee with Kim Facebook group. She is always posting in there, which I encourage all of our membership there to do. She posts quotes, she posts when she's going to be speaking. That's what that community is for, is to say, okay, this is what we're doing, guys, right? And I just want to also thank you for being so active and supportive in there as
Well,
well.
thank you. I just figure if it's good enough for me and inspires me, then I need to pass it on. So,
Right, me
yeah,
too. So again, thank you so much.
thank you. I appreciate and I've surely enjoyed this whole time with you
Mm,
today.
good, I did too.
Mhm.
All right, everyone. I There is so much. You're going to definitely have to rewind and watch this a few times. And please go take advantage of those gifts. It is amazing. And you guys have just a great day. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. I hope that you find a part of you today, something in your life that you can be grateful for. We'll talk to you. We'll see you next Monday.